concealed beneath this cloth are the only 20 grocery items you need to be buying every week. Yep, it's a big claim, I know, but if you want to get your food bills under control, then you're going to want to see what is under here. So, let's do it. I'm David, this is Grocery Dad. Now, today's video is all about the 20 essential groceries you can live off each week. Just 20 items or types of items, because that is all you need for a healthy, nutritious, balanced diet. Why am I doing this? Well, I did another video a while back all about the sneaky grocery store tricks that they use to get you spending more, and I pointed out that the only reason why they stock so much stuff is to get us buying more than we need. 30,000 products is what your average mainstream grocery store holds, and in the US it's way more than that, but the overwhelming majority of that is stuff that we simply do not need. We end up overspending, overeating, and chucking tons and tons of food in the trash every single year. So I made this statement about 20 products being all you really need to get by each week. And somebody commented saying it'd be really interesting to see what they are. And here they are. Now, there are lots and lots of caveats and exceptions that I could put on this, one of which would of course be if you have any food intolerances or special dietary needs, then you may well need to be including or excluding certain specific products. Another one is that while we broadly live off these 20 items each week in our house, there are others that we obviously cook with, but we don't buy them week in, week out. So they are not included. Final, perhaps most important thing to say is you will probably have very different opinions as to how many and what items constitute a list of weekly must-haves. Not only do I freely accept that, but I encourage it. So please tell me in the comments what you think stays, what goes, and what swaps in instead. Okay, enough with the preamble. Let's get looking at some essential groceries. Now, I will go through this more or less as you would if you were building a meal, okay? And that means we start off with, over here, the olive oil. Something that you can cook your food in that's better for you than your seed oils. We've decanted it into this rather cool little squeezy thing. Versatile, heart healthy. You can go from salad dressing to frying with it. Just got to be careful because it burns at a lower temperature than something like sunflower oil. But other than that, that is a great option for all the reasons that I've laid out. Now, number 2 and 3 sort of come in a pair. Non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned. You've got your garlic, you've got your onions. They are the base flavor, whatever cuisine you're cooking, pretty much. I can think of very few meals made in this house, in this kitchen, that do not start with onions and garlic frying off in a hot pan. Both so important, I've separated them out from the rest of their vegetable family, which I'll come back to in just a moment. All right, what's next? You're gonna need some meat, some protein. Now, I spoke about this one before. Very versatile, very flexible. You got your whole bird, whole chicken, stick it in the oven just like this. I'll just take the wrapper off first, obviously, or better still, spatchcock it, take that spine out, make sure your chicken has no backbone, and then you turn that into stock, which means you don't need to add shop-bought stock cubes to this list, and it cooks quicker. So you're gonna get loads and loads and loads of meals out of that one chicken. It is very healthy, it is very affordable. Now, if you're a meat eater, another protein option, and I'm gonna go with beef mince. Got some pork mince in the fridge as well, but beef mince here. Prices are rising on this, but still, this one is kind of like a workhorse. No end of options again here. Put it in your tacos, in your spag bowl, in your burgers, in your cottage pie, you name it. Beef mince is gonna fill your family up, takes on good flavor, it freezes well, and you can stretch it even further with number 6, your lentils or your beans. I'm giving ourselves a bit of leeway right here. I know on this one, it's not a test after all, so take it easy. So one or other of beans or lentils each week, right? Your budget stretcher, you can add it with your mince to bulk it out. I've talked about that before. Or you can do soups, or stews, or salads, or I guess anything else beginning with S you can think of. More protein, more fiber, very low cost, and again, very versatile. And by the way, canned or dried doesn't really matter to me very much in my view. So a good balance between the two is what I recommend. Now, before we go any further, if you're enjoying this and you're getting some good value from it, please give me a like, or even better, a subscribe, and that is going to go a long way to helping me create more interesting stuff that you might just enjoy in the future. 2 more super handy protein options then at number 7 and number 8. We've got eggs. I don't think they need much explanation at all. I think we all know how to use those. And we've got your canned fish. Now, we have a little joke in our house that we are never, ever to run out or let ourselves run out of tinned tuna. Mark my words, you'll have a better life if you adopt the same principle. Now, you're going to need something for seasoning, which is where your salt comes in. And yes, other herbs and spices should definitely be in your cupboard for this purpose. But again, they are not weekly purchases, And if you're being really strict with yourself, then you can quite happily get away with just salt, in my opinion. What do you think about that? All right, now completing the first half of the list, we have veg. Yes, I have grouped a huge number of individual items up into their family name, and that is principally because I don't think it matters too much which specific veg you want to go and buy each week, so long as you buy some. I personally always make sure that we have on hand some carrots and some celery. They're always on the list, going into the trolley. Why? Because they go great chopped in stews, they have flavour to stocks, and they are also very snackable and very lunchboxable. Main thing is, don't overcomplicate your veg position, whatever you do. Just pick a couple that you know you're actually going to use. And for even more flexibility, I'm going with frozen mixed veg for number 11. Frozen, so it's always on hand, still very good nutritional value, and you can easily add this one to the things that you're cooking, or just have it on the side of your main meal. Number 12 is your canned tomatoes. And believe it or not, I went to look for some in the cupboard, couldn't find them because we cooked our last tin of those last night. So my substitute, just as a reference point, is passata. And we have this on the list for our next shopping trip already. Basically, you can't cook proper food without some degree of moisture, some acidity, some body, and canned tomatoes bring all three. And passata can help too. The base for pasta sauces, for stews, for soups, for curries, for casseroles, basically whatever is in rotation for you this week. And somewhat ironically, in light of the fact that we've just run out, if I could only keep one canned item in the pantry, canned tomatoes would probably be it. That's how important that is. That's why we need to get to the shops. Okay, 13 and 14 are going to be your carb accompaniments. Pasta and rice. We got pasta here. You could pick any weird or wonderful shape you prefer. I personally think a macaroni is a pretty good all-rounder, but there's also a good case for one of those sort of bow tie ones. Bit more surface area to catch your pasta sauce nicely. Entirely up to you. The other option here is going to be brown rice, a little bit more expensive than white, and your long grain varieties, and takes a bit longer to cook, but far better for you nutritionally, and adds some kind of bite to your meal, which you just don't get from basmati rice, I tend to find. Much more filling actually too. So we eat a lot less rice since we switched over to brown, which is a good thing. All right, back end of the list now. Number 15 is over here, flour, bread, pancakes, sauces, baking, all of which you'll be doing more of if you stick to this list, because you won't be buying ultra-processed, short-bought versions pumped full of chemicals. It is cheap, it stores well, and its very presence in your house is going to sort of magically make you feel a little bit more like a cook. 16, 17, and 18, this is your dairy trio. We've got milk, we've got butter, we've got eggs.
Well, hold up. We do not have eggs, because you've already said them. What you meant to say was cheese. Just can't get the staff these days. Anyway, carry on.
These three kind of go hand in hand: flavour, fat, and function. Butter, of course, for cooking and spreading. Cheese for flavour, extra flavour in your meals. And milk, well, probably don't need to explain to you what milk is for. You get that one, I'm sure. If you're lactose intolerant, you get three choices back. You can go wild with your fruits and veggies. Number 19 on my list is the redoubtable peanut butter. A decent quality one if you can. Obviously goes on your toast, but also goes into your smoothies and your energy balls. Plus, it goes well with your yogurt. And that leaves us with the 20th and final choice, which for me is your fruits. Another cheeky little roll up again here. But as long as you've got a couple of these in your trolley or your car each week, then I think you're in pretty good shape. Apples, bananas, maybe something a bit citrusy. This is what my kids snack on, and I put it in our smoothies in the morning. Another choice that keeps us away from all the pre-packed snacks that you get in the shops. All right, so there you have it. That's my list of the only 20 groceries you need to be buying each week for a healthy, nutritious, balanced diet. I've made some tough calls. There's plenty to talk about, which I hope you will, in the comments. So tell me what you think of the list. What would you put in? What would you take out? And hit subscribe if you like this kind of thing in general. And why not head over to this one if you also like hearing about other ways to cut your food bills. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you again soon.